Whenever I listen back to something that I do, it just makes me feel weird.
Hi, my lovely.
Hi.
Welcome to America's
When
Got Talent.
13-year-old Courtney Hadwin stepped onto the stage of America's Got Talent, almost no one expected what was about to happen. She looked quiet, nervous, and overwhelmed by the bright lights and the enormous audience staring back at her. The judges exchanged uncertain glances, wondering whether the shy teenager from a tiny English village could possibly handle the pressure of one of television's biggest stages. Then the music started. Within seconds, the timid girl disappeared. In her place stood a fearless performer with a voice that seemed impossible for someone her age. Every note carried raw emotion, every movement radiated confidence, and the audience quickly realized they were witnessing something unforgettable. Before the performance had even ended, thousands of people were already convinced they had discovered one of the most extraordinary young singers in recent memory. But while millions celebrated her remarkable talent, very few understood the years of dedication, sacrifice, and personal struggles that had led to that unforgettable moment. Long before the standing ovations and worldwide fame, Courtney Hadwin was simply a little girl with a dream that seemed almost impossible. Born in the quiet village of Heselden in County Durham, England, Courtney grew up in a hard-working family that encouraged creativity from an early age. Her parents noticed something special long before anyone else did. Whenever music played around the house, their daughter couldn't stay still. She danced around the living room, sang along to every melody she could remember, and seemed completely captivated by every rhythm she heard. Unlike many children who quickly moved from one hobby to another, Courtney's fascination with music only became stronger as she grew older. She listened carefully to classic soul and rock artists, studying their voices without even realizing she was teaching herself valuable lessons. Every song inspired her to experiment with different sounds and emotions. When she began taking singing lessons during elementary school, her teachers immediately recognized that her voice possessed an unusual amount of power and character. They encouraged her to join the school choir, where she learned important fundamentals such as breathing, timing, and performing in front of an audience. Each rehearsal helped build her confidence. Each performance made her stronger, and every compliment convinced her that music was more than just a hobby. It was becoming her future. Outside school, Courtney practiced constantly. She would spend hours singing in front of mirrors, experimenting with different vocal styles while imagining herself performing before huge crowds. Her parents never discouraged those dreams. Instead, they supported every opportunity they could provide, driving her to rehearsals, performances, and local music events whenever possible. As her abilities improved, she started performing at community festivals and neighborhood gatherings. Although the audiences were small, every appearance gave her valuable experience. She learned how to connect with listeners, how to manage stage fright, and how to express emotion through every lyric she sang. People in her hometown quickly began talking about the talented young girl with the remarkably mature voice. Local newspapers even featured stories about her performances, praising both her confidence and her distinctive style. For Courtney, those articles meant far more than publicity. They were proof that the dream she carried inside her might actually become reality. Her training also expanded beyond school. She attended theater classes that introduced her to professional performance techniques while helping her become even more comfortable under stage lights. Vocal coaches worked with her on breathing, phrasing, and emotional delivery, teaching her that great singing wasn't only about hitting the right notes. It was about making people feel something. Those lessons shaped the performer the world would later come to know. By the time she reached her early teenage years, Courtney had developed ambitions far beyond her small hometown. She dreamed about sharing her voice with larger audiences and testing herself against the best young performers in the world. That opportunity finally arrived in 2018. At just 13 years old, Courtney traveled to the United States to audition for America's Got Talent. It was her first major international experience, and everything about the journey felt overwhelming. New surroundings, unfamiliar faces, television cameras, and one of the most famous judging panels in entertainment all added enormous pressure. Backstage, dozens of talented performers waited nervously for their turn. Some rehearsed dance routines while others quietly warmed up their voices. Courtney remained mostly silent. She clutched her hat tightly, trying to steady her nerves as producers prepared to escort her toward the stage. When her name was finally called, she walked through the backstage hallway and into the spotlight. The massive theater suddenly felt silent. Simon Cowell, Heidi Klum, Howie Mandel, and Mel B looked at the shy teenager standing before them. Courtney admitted she was nervous, speaking softly enough that many audience members wondered whether she would even be able to project her voice once the music began. Then the opening notes of Janis Joplin's Piece of My Heart filled the auditorium. Her first lines were gentle and controlled, but within moments, everything changed. Courtney exploded with energy. She stomped across the stage, pouring every ounce of emotion into her performance. Her gritty voice, explosive confidence, and fearless stage presence stunned everyone watching. The judges couldn't hide their reactions. Howie Mandel stared in disbelief. Heidi Klum smiled with amazement. Mel B watched wide-eyed as the performance grew stronger. Simon Cowell leaned forward, realizing he was witnessing something incredibly rare. By the final chorus, the entire audience had risen to its feet. Thunderous applause echoed throughout the theater as Courtney finished the song. Howie Mandel, completely overwhelmed by what he had just witnessed, pressed the golden buzzer. Golden confetti rained from above while the audience erupted in celebration. Courtney stood frozen for a moment, struggling to process what had just happened. Her parents watched emotionally from backstage, overcome with pride as their daughter's lifelong dream unfolded before their eyes. In only a few minutes, everything had changed. That performance quickly became one of the most talked about auditions of the season. Clips spread rapidly across YouTube and social media, attracting millions of views within days. News organizations across Britain and the United States praised her extraordinary vocal ability, comparing her emotional style to legendary rock and soul singers. Suddenly, Courtney Hadwin was no longer an unknown teenager from County Durham. She had become an international sensation. As the competition continued, the pressure only increased. Every week brought bigger audiences, larger television ratings, and even greater expectations. Reporters wanted interviews. Television producers requested appearances. Fans flooded social media with messages of encouragement from around the world. Despite the whirlwind surrounding her, Courtney tried to maintain a sense of normality. She continued balancing school responsibilities with rehearsals, spending countless hours preparing every performance while remaining focused on improving as an artist rather than chasing celebrity status. Behind every televised appearance were endless rehearsals. She worked closely with vocal coaches, refining every phrase, every movement, and every emotional moment. Producers helped shape the visual aspects of her performances, but Courtney remained determined that her voice would always remain the centerpiece. Her commitment impressed everyone who worked with her. Crew members often commented on her professionalism despite her young age, while fellow contestants admired both her work ethic and humility. As each round of the competition passed, Courtney's confidence continued to grow. She no longer looked like the nervous teenager who had first walked onto the stage. Instead, audiences saw a performer capable of commanding thousands of people with remarkable confidence and emotional intensity. Television appearances followed her growing success, introducing her to even larger audiences. Interviewers frequently asked how someone so young could deliver performances with such maturity. Courtney's answer was always simple. She loved music. For her, singing wasn't about fame, awards, or headlines. It was about expressing emotions that words alone could never fully capture. That sincerity helped millions of viewers connect with her on a deeply personal level. Every standing ovation seemed to confirm that her remarkable journey was only beginning. But while the world celebrated her incredible rise to fame, few realized that the challenges ahead would prove far more difficult than any competition stage. The spotlight had transformed Courtney Hadwin into one of the most recognizable young singers of her generation. Yet just as her career appeared ready to reach even greater heights, an unexpected turn of events threatened to interrupt everything she had worked so hard to achieve. The greatest test of her strength was no longer waiting on a stage before millions of viewers. It was waiting just around the corner. As Courtney's popularity continued to soar, life became busier than she had ever imagined. Invitations arrived from television shows, music producers expressed interest in working with her, and fans from every corner of the world followed her every move online. It was an incredible opportunity for a teenager who had once performed at small community events in County Durham. But success brought challenges that few people could see. Life in the spotlight demanded constant travel, endless rehearsals, interviews, promotional appearances, and long periods away from home. While audiences only witnessed the glamorous moments on television, Courtney was learning that building a music career required tremendous discipline and sacrifice. Despite the excitement, she remained determined not to let fame change who she was. Whenever she returned home to England, she enjoyed spending quiet time with her family, reconnecting with friends, and reminding herself why she had fallen in love with music in the first place. Those moments away from cameras became increasingly valuable as public attention around her continued to grow. The expectations were enormous. Every new performance was compared to her unforgettable America's Got Talent audition. Fans wanted every appearance to be even bigger and more emotional than the last. For many young performers, that kind of pressure can become overwhelming, but Courtney focused on improving rather than trying to satisfy every expectation placed upon her. She continued writing songs, studying classic artists who had inspired her since childhood, and working with vocal coaches to strengthen both her technique and confidence. Even after achieving international recognition, she still approached music as a student eager to learn. That attitude earned respect throughout the industry. Instead of rushing to capitalize on her sudden fame, Courtney carefully considered the direction she wanted her career to take. She experimented with original material, explored different musical influences, and gradually began developing an artistic identity that belonged entirely to her. The journey wasn't always easy. Growing up while millions of people watched every career move created unique challenges that few teenagers could truly understand. Social media brought overwhelming praise, but it also introduced criticism and unrealistic expectations. Learning how to ignore negativity became just as important as learning new songs. Fortunately, her family remained a constant source of encouragement. They reminded her that success should never be measured only by headlines or online statistics. What mattered most was continuing to enjoy music and staying true to herself. Those lessons kept her grounded during one of the most dramatic periods of her life. As time passed, Courtney gradually expanded her career beyond television competitions. She released original music, performed at festivals, appeared at live concerts, and continued building an audience that appreciated her unique voice and energetic stage presence. Each performance demonstrated how much she had matured as both a singer and a performer. Rather than relying solely on the fame generated by America's Got Talent, she worked steadily to establish a long-term career based on her own creativity and determination. She also became an inspiration for countless young musicians. Many aspiring singers saw themselves in the shy teenager who had nervously walked onto one of the world's biggest stages before astonishing everyone with a performance that changed her life forever. Her story encouraged others to believe that confidence isn't something you're born with. Sometimes it appears only after taking the first frightening step. Looking back, Courtney's journey illustrates that success rarely happens overnight, even when it appears that way to the public. Behind every viral performance were years of practice, family support, disappointments, and unwavering dedication. Those hidden years laid the foundation for everything that followed. Perhaps the greatest lesson from her story is that talent alone is never enough. Hard work, resilience, humility, and persistence often matter just as much. Even after achieving worldwide recognition, Courtney continued searching for ways to improve her craft instead of assuming she had already reached her destination. That mindset allowed her to keep growing long after the television cameras stopped rolling. Today, her America's Got Talent audition remains one of the competition's most memorable performances, introducing millions of viewers to a voice unlike any they had heard before. New generations continue discovering that performance online, amazed that such extraordinary power came from someone so young. The moment still inspires aspiring performers around the world. It serves as proof that remarkable opportunities can appear when preparation finally meets the right stage. However, one important fact deserves clarification. Many stories circulating online have claimed that Courtney experienced a devastating tour bus crash that nearly ended her career. Others describe serious injuries, extended hospital stays, fundraising campaigns, or dramatic recoveries. There is no credible public evidence confirming those events. Likewise, many viral videos use sensational titles suggesting heartbreaking tragedies that are unsupported by reliable sources. These stories often combine real events with fictional details to create dramatic narratives designed to attract viewers. What is well documented is Courtney's remarkable rise from a small English village to international recognition through her extraordinary performances. Her dedication, distinctive voice, and fearless stage presence earned admiration from audiences across the world, and she has continued pursuing music on her own terms. In many ways, that genuine story is powerful enough on its own. It reminds us that extraordinary dreams can begin in ordinary places. A young girl who once practiced songs in her bedroom eventually stood before millions of viewers and proved that courage sometimes arrives at exactly the moment it is needed most. Her journey continues to evolve, and whatever comes next, the performance that first captivated the world remains an unforgettable chapter in modern talent show history. Courtney Hadwin's story isn't simply about fame. It's about believing in your abilities before anyone else does, embracing opportunities despite overwhelming fear, and understanding that true success is measured not only by applause but by the determination to keep growing long after the spotlight fades.